And that, I'm really on a roll, like very smooth. It leads on to the next tip, which is to speak to subject teacher. I am old. I am really, really old. Hi. Hello wonderful people, it's me Angie. I hope you're having an amazing day wherever you are. Let's talk about GCSEs. I chose my GCSEs half a decade ago. I am old. I am really, really old. But yeah, it's 2021. I sat my GCSEs in 2018 and 2019, and I chose them about 2016. Now that I think about it, it may have been 2015. I am really, really feeling very old. But I actually really am very happy with the subjects I ended up choosing and the subjects I ended up taking. I didn't end up studying the further maths exam. That was one of the things I wanted to take that I didn't take. I think I did 11 GCSEs in total. I'll put them all on screen. 3 languages, 2 humanities. I had a nice mix. But yeah, let's talk about the things that you want to consider so that you make the correct decisions for you. So the first piece of advice is to think about what you like. It's important that you get into this habit from now, but you shouldn't choose a subject just because you feel like you have to, just because you feel like it looks good. This is something you need to take with a pinch of salt, because sometimes you have to take certain subjects. So for example, your school may say if you want to take an A-level in science, you have to do triple science, but you might be like, oh, I kind of want to do trilogy. In that case, that's another conversation you need to have, and you need to consider the fact that there is a reason for that. The jump might be bigger. Those are all conversations you need to have with your teachers, which takes me on to the next tip, which is to sit down and talk to your teachers. Your teachers know you, they know your exam technique, and ask them, do you think I would do well in this? It might be a situation where you don't know if you should do geography, you don't know if you should do history. Speak to them, and that will really help you to understand what they think. Don't let that limit you, because I know that sometimes teachers might say, oh, you only get this, you only get that. And it can be quite disheartening. I know that with one of my subjects, they were like, babe, you're gonna get a 6, and then I got a 9, and I was like, you say something. So make sure like you do take it with a pinch of salt. The next tip is to speak to students that have actually taken the subject. So for example, a lot of people be like, oh my gosh, daunting Chinese is so hard. As someone who did take Mandarin Chinese as a GCSE, I will 100% tell you to do it. 100%. It was so much fun. Even when it got stressful, I loved it. The same situations like with my younger sister. She's taken Russian. I personally wouldn't have done it, but she's doing it and she's living her best life. Like, make sure you speak to people who actually enjoyed the subject so they can give you an unbiased, well-rounded opinion as well, because if you go for someone who hates it, their opinion is not going to be the same. If you ask me about EPQ, I'm going to say run for the hills. But if you ask the girl who I sit next to in one of my subjects, she's going to say it's the best thing since sliced bread. So make sure you do think about how different people are going to have different experiences, and that's going to impact you in some way, shape or form. The next thing, and a really, really vital tip, which I also have in my How to Choose Your A-Level video, is to look at the papers, look at how you are assessed. Is it something that has coursework? Is it something that's tested in the way you would think? It's a case where you may think it's going to be one thing, but it's going to be something else, and literally look at the papers and see what it's going to be. With physics, there are loads of questions where they just ask you to say what the equation is, which is cute, it's cheap marks, it's nice. But with geography, it's whoa, we have case studies, whoa, like it might not be what you expect. So make sure you do that and do your due diligence to go and have a look at what the reality of the subject is. The next thing to think about is the English Baccalaureate, if your school offer it. It's basically a qualification that means that you've got a wide range of subjects, and that is one of my biggest pieces of advice. Have a wide range of subjects. Don't just do all creative subjects or all STEM subjects or all this, unless you are absolutely certain. I think it's always nice to have like a backup or like a miscellaneous subject that is just very different to your others. It shows you have range. It shows that you have the ability to be analytical, but also the ability to be critical. Yes, I'm taking triple science with further maths, but I'm also taking textiles or music or art, and make sure that you keep in mind the fact that you can change as a person. You know how much you change. With me, I was like, if I change my mind on medicine, it's going to be engineering. I'm going to be in STEM. There's not going to be much of a change. It's as simple as that, and that's from knowing me and my personality. But you might be someone who changes their mind every 10 seconds, changes this, changes that. I know one of my friends thought she was going for 2 degrees, but she went for another 2 in a completely different area, and I was like, whoa, it's only been a couple weeks. Like, if you know that you are that kind of person who changes their mind a lot, which is not a negative thing, I'm not criticizing you for that, then maybe keep your options open versus someone who's like, I want to study fashion, so I'm going to take arts. I'm going to take textile, I'm going to take this. Like, that's not going to change. The next thing to consider, which is a bit of a more random one, is the grade boundaries. So if you are someone whose grades fluctuate a lot, like me, my marks will fluctuate quite a bit, you would appreciate or benefit more from wider grade boundaries. With certain subjects, you will see that there's not much difference between each grade, and that might be a bit of a concern for you, because if your sixth form or college needs certain grades and you're not sure if you'll get them, then yeah, it's a bit of a more unique, more of a niche thing. But do keep that in mind. Using the EPQ again, there's like 5 marks between each grade, which is very, very scary for me. But with other things, there's miles, there's multiple marks, multiple percentages. So do keep that in mind when it comes to the subjects that you take. More for exam things, you shouldn't choose a subject purely based on the grade boundary, but these are all just things to keep in your peripheral vision, to keep in your mind when you're making these decisions. The next thing to think about is how much support is there and how much support do you need. Using the Chinese example again, I'm the only year to have taken the 921 Chinese GCSE. They rolled it out a year later than everyone else, and then the past 2 years have been cancelled because of the pandemic. So it's a bit of a sticky situation. And there's not really any resources online, if I'm being honest. And if you're someone who's independent, if you're someone whose school gives you lots of resources, that might not be a problem for you. But if you're someone who's taking a GCSE independently, for example, you might benefit from having loads and loads and loads of content. This applies with every qualification. With the more popular subjects like science and English, for example, you're going to have more resources. So I think it's important to think about that. Less for when you're choosing, but just so you have a realistic idea of what's going on, because your other friends might be relying on like a whole 2-hour summary of their whole course from a YouTuber, when you're going to have to try and do something by yourself. And I just think that is something to think about. These are all quite unique tips and they shouldn't be the one thing you lean on, but hopefully if you put all these things together and you take them with a pinch of salt, it will help you to make sure you make the best options possible. Another thing is, at the end of the day, depending on your school, you might be able to switch out certain subjects. You should have taster days, taster sessions. You could go on YouTube to see what these things are like. Like, you can ask people questions down below in the comments. Say, hey, has anyone done GCSE Italian? Tell me more. Has anyone done this? Has anyone done that? If you've already chosen your GCSEs, or if indeed you've already done them, comment below with more tips and advice to help other people out. But yeah, that's the end of today's video, so give it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, share it if you care, and as always, smile, subscribe to be heard, slay hard, and I will see you wonderful people again very soon. Bye!